Charles Leclerc will start on pole for the Bahrain Grand Prix. In just his second race with Ferrari, the 21-year-old will lead the field ahead of his four-time world champion teammate Sebastian Vettel. Leclerc dedicated his maiden pole to three people: his dad, Jules Bianchi and Charlie Whiting. In taking pole position and setting a lap time of 1:27.866, Leclerc broke the absolute track record in Bahrain. He was the only driver who broke into the 1:27 threshold. Meanwhile, for Mercedes, today's result was a far cry from last fortnight's performance in Melbourne. They are set to start third and fourth, with Lewis Hamilton edging out the informed Valtteri Bottas. Hello and welcome to F1 Happenings, presented by Green Flag F1. My name is Stephen Walton and 2019 is my fourth year covering Formula 1. In this podcast I'll be taking a harder look at a big story happening in Formula 1. I'll explain the facts behind the story before giving my honest thoughts and opinions on the significance of the issue. I hope you enjoy. Wow, what a lap from Charles Leclerc to take pole position for the Bahrain Grand Prix. I am pretty shocked, to be honest. I didn't quite expect that this quickly he would get onto the pole position. So what I'm going to do first of all to kind of talk about the pole is I just wanted to have a look at the lap again. I've got it here in front of me, and if we start playing it, it's quite loud actually into my headphones, but he's coming up to turn 1 here, and I've just had a look at it before and now I'm rewatching it. I did notice the apex a little bit out on turn 1, but he gets the run through turn 2 really strong, and that allows him to carry a lot of speed up towards turn 4. Now we saw that sector 1 was where Ferrari were making a lot of gains, so certainly they appear to be very quick there and very dialed up, and through turn 4 it's all looking very nice and tidy. 5 and 6 is very important to then set it up for 7, slow it all down for that very tight hairpin of turn 8. And yeah, so he's on a purple sector there, and he comes into the very difficult turn 10. No lockup, that's the key thing. He may not hit the apex, but he keeps the tyres, he keeps it straight, and then gets out of the corner well. It's now that short straight down the back where they use the other pit straight from time to time, and turn 11 absolutely hooked up here, right in on the apex, and looking very strong as he comes towards the end of the lap. It's that last sector he didn't actually perform too well. He was a couple of hundredths down on his previous best effort, but it wasn't enough. He was, the end of sector 2, he was up by a tenth on his time, and Mercedes were looking nowhere near getting near it. That final corner could have been a bit tighter, could have been a bit tighter, but it did not cost him too much in the end, and it was a stunning pole lap for Charles Leclerc. So I think my first main thought as to how quickly it's happened in terms of him beating Vettel. I take it back to Mercedes and Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton when Valtteri arrived at Mercedes. Although he had performed very well for Williams in the past, took him a while to get into Hamilton's territory, and you could even argue, I think, that Bottas is only just getting to that point now, whereas, you know, Leclerc's come out of the books and looked very strong. He was challenging against Vettel in Australia, who obviously there were issues there that might explain that, but yeah, it was a very strong performance and a shocking one for me. And I guess the argument can be made that you could look back at Bottas, and he did take pole in the Bahrain Grand Prix of his year, but there was just something different about this one. It was so commanding and so relaxed and so easily taken, really. He didn't hesitate, he just put in the laps, and he's talked a lot about, we've noticed, I think in the media, he's very much said that he doesn't feel any extra pressure, he doesn't feel that burden of driving for Ferrari. He just gets in there and drives a car, and we've seen last year how quick he is, and then put him in a race-winning car, and he's really performed very well. So I think for Ferrari it's really encouraging that they haven't had that adjustment period for him. He hasn't had to adjust to the quicker nature, to being in the pointy end instead of the midfield. And yeah, it's going to be a strength that if they've now got two genuine pace setters and two people who can win races week in, week out, That's going to be real credit to them in the fight against Mercedes. I think kind of leads into my next point, which is Leclerc has really given them something that they lacked in Kimi Räikkönen for the last few years. We saw Kimi drove for Ferrari from 2014 to the end of 2018, and in that time he produced one race win. I don't know how many poles actually off the top of my head, but it wasn't many. It wasn't week in, week out we were seeing Kimi on pole. It's just he was always second best to Vettel, and that may be the more traditional Ferrari style, but certainly Leclerc has looked like from these 2 weekends gone by that he can challenge Vettel and he can match Vettel week in and week out, which is a real strength of his, and that'll be, I mean, it could cause some tension. We don't know about team orders and how Ferrari will deal with that, but certainly to their credit, the best way to score maximum points each week is to have 2 people fighting for the win instead of just the one. But yeah, I guess Leclerc's pole is actually a very encouraging sign for Ferrari. Australia was not a good weekend for them. Clearly something was wrong. All of the post-race interviews indicate there was an issue with the setup. There was something that did go wrong. And so we didn't get an accurate look at how quick they are. And I take it back to some of the post-race coverage from Sky Sport. Paul Di Resta and Nico Rosberg were very much talked about how what we're seeing here in Bahrain is what we expected to see from Ferrari after pre-season testing, where they were very strong and producing very quick lap times, which made them out to be the favourite. And then we rocked up in Australia and it looked like 2014 all over again. But yeah, clearly this indicates that something did go wrong that weekend, and this might be more indicative of Ferrari's pace. But what we can't get too over the top though, because Mercedes have indicated that this isn't their best track. They haven't historically done particularly well here. I had some quotes, I believe it was from Lewis Hamilton. He said, quote, "I think this track has never particularly suited our car in the past for whatever reason, but I think we got it to quite a good place today," end quote. So there's an indication from them that this isn't a place they are strong at. It's not a place they're as confident at, and it has historically been good for Ferrari. So we might be seeing some more skewed results here this weekend, and so maybe China's the one where we've got to see what happens. But yeah, I think that was pretty much all my thoughts from Leclerc's pole. Again, I was just very surprised. I didn't think that this quickly he'd be onto Vettel's pace and setting such quick and blistering lap times and doing it with such ease for someone who's only 21 years old. It's pretty incredible. So well done to Charles Leclerc, and it certainly will make for an interesting race tomorrow. Thanks for listening to F1 Happenings, presented by Green Flag F1. For more relevant and up-to-date information on the 2019 Formula 1 season, head to greenflagf1.com for all of your Formula 1 needs. I'm Stephen Walton, and be sure to let me know if you agree or disagree with my Formula 1 thoughts and opinions. I'll see you next time.